Ha! So, yeah, I put Reacher Von B on the screen first. Forgot to tell him to unmute his mic.
Thanks, Jay.
I was going to throw everybody off by doing that, and then I was like, oh, I didn't tell him to unmute his mic.
Hell Hydra.
Yeah. So, before we get into it, because I actually have stuff to talk about that's not random. Uh, First, I want to say I know it's so cliche to say it, but really and honestly, thoughts and prayers and everything else out to everybody dealing with those fires. Dan and JD are not super close to them, but they're in California. They can see the smoke. Like it's bad. And unfortunately, a lot of folks have lost their homes. And fire doesn't discriminate, folks. Doesn't matter rich or poor. Doesn't matter. Fire and things like that don't discriminate. So just be kind, and just make sure you're sending positive vibes out that way. A little bit of a happier note, just in case I forget next week, because we won't be on the 25th because that's my anniversary. So no show on the 25th. This Tuesday, Fable and One Collection Down are doing their Absolute Book Club where they talk about the Absolute stuff from DC. Really fun watch. They dive really deep into it. Make sure you check that out. Pretty sure I got but Fable's link. There you go. In the description. I can never get the things to work though. They always change out every time. So One Collection Down, you'll find them. And also on the 31st, they're going to be doing the all new, all different Blame Fable show that's in conjunction with Comics Curing Cancer. So make sure you check Fable out. So hello Triple B. I know I saw Castle in here earlier. Again, anybody wants to jump in, just come on in. If not, I think Ed and I can handle it. So Ed, how's your week been, boss?
Back to work. The old grindstone again. The
Mm.
3 week vacation went by so fast. You wake up every morning. Oh, I still got 2 weeks. Oh, I still got a week. Damn, it's tomorrow.
Yeah,
So just getting back into the routine.
yeah,
Other than that, it's been all right. I was really worried about Dan and them, so I was glad to be able to talk to them and see them that they're okay and everything because I've been hearing all that stuff out there.
yeah,
So,
yeah. We said
but same old, plugging along.
good. So also before I forget, I'm not sure what happened. Something came up. I know I showed the thumbnail on Friday, but there is not going to be a producer show this Sunday. Something came up. It had to be canceled. I think next time going forward, I'm going to make sure just tell Kyle, you if we're going to have a show, make sure that you just get on and promote it. This is 3 weeks in a row now. I've been wrong. So just in all seriousness, something came up, so we had to cancel it. If there were folks looking forward to it, I apologize. Like I said, the thumbnail was really cool. I can't remember if it was Tommy Boy or Black Sheep. I always get those movies confused, but it was a good one. It was a good one. Hey, Nope, what's going on, man?
It gives you a little more time to come up with your next hairdo.
Exactly. Eventually, I'm going to get a haircut, man. My hair is starting to get a little too curly and mud.
Is there a way for you to bring the chat in so we can see it? Because right now I
Yes,
can't see it.
yes, because I forgot when I was doing this to put the overlay on.
Uh,
There we go.
all right. Hey, there
Now,
they are. Hey,
yeah.
no.
So the reason was, so folks, like I said, I actually had stuff that I wanted to talk about tonight. So I went to upload the pictures. First time I uploaded the pictures, everything was fine. I got out of the room, came back in, most of them were gone. I was like, okay. So I went back in, put them all in. I got like 10 or 11 things in here. And they were there. I sat here for a little bit, went to YouTube to do something. I came back, and the spaces that I made were there, but all the pictures disappeared again. And we'll see. I can see them on my side. We'll see if they disappeared again. If they did, I'll just have to pop them up again. So I was like, well, damn. So I do it again. In the middle of doing it, other ones start to disappear. Like I would pop back up to them and they wouldn't be there. They show on my side that they're there, but wouldn't show up on the screen. So finally, there was one that stayed the whole time. My very first picture stayed the whole time. So finally I was like, well, what is the difference with this and all the other pictures I have? It was a PNG. I was like, okay. Hey, Commander in Beef, what's up, man? Uh just to let you know, if you're not used to restream, the lag between comments and what I see is very, very like vast. So if it feels like I'm ignoring you, please don't think that I am. It just takes a while for this to get the comments for some reason. Maybe if I have the chat pulled up on YouTube on my phone as well, I can see it. But anyway, the picture was a PNG. So I went through and turned every single picture into a PNG. Came back in here, loaded it back up, got a couple of pictures down, and then some disappeared and some stayed. So it took me 6 times. And hopefully they work, because I want to talk about, first of all, just some awesome books that I read this week. Now I wasn't on the show this past Tuesday, but when I see Kyle Starks, when I see his name attached to a book, I got to read it. I got to read it. And I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to flip this real fast. I got to read it. Peacemaker Tries Hard. Both Where Monsters Lie. I think he had one called the 6 or 7 sidekicks of Trigger Keaton. Like, Kyle Stark's amazing writer. So could be, Ed. Which, Triple B Haunted Comics is now what he's called, and I'm telling you, I love that name. I love that name, and I love the fact that now I can share stuff not only on my channel but on the EXP, and not have to worry about getting dinged for it.
I definitely think he made the right choice, because the other one that he had, Hardcore Basement, would be a weird combination.
That's true. The haunted hardcore basement, yeah, that I don't know,
It
actually.
puts the lotion on its skin, or else it gets the host again.
Put the lotion in the basket. But anyway, so the first thing I want to talk about is a book that when Kyle tells you, and I'm talking about boss Kyle, producer Kyle, when he tells you to read a book, you really should. You really should read that book. And the book is Those Not Afraid. I don't know if anybody out there in the chat has read this yet, but if you're a horror fan, psychological horror, whatever, what have you, step into my dungeon. This is a book. When I read this, when Kyle read this, Kyle said on the show, this is an Ed book, a Triple B book, a Castle book. And he's not wrong. He's not wrong. This book was so good. So the basic premise of this is there is yes, Commander Beef, 2 serial killers. So it starts off with a person podcasting, and I won't get too into it because I don't want to ruin anything for anybody. But they're podcasting about this lady who escaped this what later is known as the murder hole. She escapes this, and for 30 years, this murder hole killer is what they call him. He was never caught, or they were never caught, because we don't know if it's a he. They had a state record of like 57 kills. Well, the podcaster then says, right now we have 2 serial killers operating at the same time. The serial killers happen to meet. Now we meet one of them pretty much right away. Okay. Well, he walks in on the other guy, the one wearing the mask there, and says, "You know what? Why don't we make this fun? Why don't we have a friendly competition to see who can beat the state record?" I think one of them was at 40 and the other one's at 41. And he's like, "But we're not credited with a lot more, with more of the kills that we actually have. These are just the ones they know about." So he's like, a murder race to see who can beat the record. And that's where I'll leave you with this one. Y'all, I'm telling you, Kyle Starks is just like a mad genius. I have dug everything this guy's read. This book can honestly eventually fit into Where Monsters Lie. I know that's probably not what he's going for, but honestly, if you've read Where Monsters Lie, these characters could fit right in that world. So this is a book to look out for. And here's something I'm gonna say this. Times are tough for folks right now. Comics are kind of not on everyone's, I have to buy list, When it comes to, bills and comics, bills are usually going to win out. But I will say there is a site, I believe it's called Read All Comics, where you can do just that. So if you're not able to get comics, I hate that money is what stops people from being able to read good things. I would say use this site. Like I said, it's Read All Comics. I think that's what it's called. But use one of those sites. But when I say use it, what I mean is for like me personally, I read something not that long ago that I wasn't able to grab at the time. But what I did was I read it, I ended up saving up my money and then going out to a comic shop and buying it. Uh, so I don't say use this site so you can pirate comics and never have to pay for a comic again. It's more of a use this as a I can't afford to do this right now, but I don't want to miss out on things. If that makes any sense, like kind of a devil's advocate thing with pirating, but I'm not. I'm just saying, still support your local comic shops when you can, but realistically, there's just sometimes we we can't afford to get a comic that we want to read. So it's a weird thing. I know I'm kind of rambling because I'm trying to figure out quite how to say it, but this book, find a way to read it, folks, because like I said, it could tie right into the next book I'm going to talk about, Where Monsters Lie Cul-de-sac. Holy hell, y'all. You know, I really dug the first series. Really dug it. I actually got some folks to read it, and they enjoyed it as well. Let me say, Ed, is there something you can say about Where Monsters Lie? Do you remember much of the book?
Oh yeah, I've read this one quite a few times. It was one of
Okay.
my favorites. The thing I like the most about it is it has the horror element, it has the gore element, and it has fantastically stupid sarcasm. I love the humor that gets introduced, like and how nonchalant they just kill people,
Yeah.
and the stupid little funny remarks that they make. And this book had me right at the beginning, no spoiler, but the very first book of the very first series, I mean, three kids get whacked.
Yeah.
Kids never get whacked in comics.
Yeah.
And the knitting needle was amazing. And I'll just say little things like that. But if you like, a horror element and you don't mind, it's not really brutal gore. You see it, but it's not like overwhelming like Red Room or anything like that.
Yeah.
But the humor element is what makes it just a masterpiece. It's a brilliant piece of writing. I'm jealous I didn't come up with this idea. But basically, it's a community of serial killers that kill in different ways that are all trying to live together and killing anybody that comes into their neighborhood. And then they talk about it, make wisecracks about it, and criticize each other's work. And it's a brilliant. I couldn't recommend this series high enough for people.
Yep. Now this is the set. Now this one is the second series. Have you been able to read any of the
I've I've
second volume yet?
I've read the first two.
Okay.
No,
All
read the
right.
first two. I have not read the third one. I don't know if that came out this week or next week or.
It did because that's the one I read.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I read that one this week, and just when I thought it's going to be a well, the first series was so good. There's no way this one could live. It might live up to it. Okay, I don't want to say wouldn't live up to it, but the hype was like, oh well, second series it should be good, right? For me, this one 3 issues in
Uh-huh.
almost tops the first one. There's something about the way Kyle Starks goes about this one. It doesn't feel like the same story we got from the first one. Like it's still a community of serial killers, but there's an element in it now that gives it that difference.
And we get
So
some new killers.
that too. That
Who-
too.
Do you have a favorite one in this one?
Uh I can't remember his name, but I like the nightmare guy.
See, mine's the holiday guy. He
Well, no,
absolutely cracks me up,
okay.
especially the Arbor Day comment. Oh my
Yes.
god,
Yes.
I about
Okay.
lost it.
He's to me he's the funniest one.
Oh,
He is
by
the
far.
funniest one. But yeah, this is a series, y'all. I would tell you, and yes, it's kind of Tucker and Dale versus Evil kind of violence. Nope, you're right. I would tell anybody if you're a fan of horror or horror comedy or Tucker and Dale, this is a series to get. If you haven't read the first series, read the first one. You can kind of just jump into this one without knowing a whole lot, but I would suggest getting the first series. Uh, Again, Kyle Stark's just kind of he's a writer that just like if I see his name on it, I'm gonna read it. Like his everything that I've read from him so far has just been so good. Now, to end what I read this week, I'm gonna end it with another kind of horror book, but it's not really horror, and that would be Living Hell. This is another one that Kyle sent me a message. He even put it in our Slack channel. He's like, "Hey, everyone, you need to read these two books. It's Living Hell 1, Living Hell 2." Um, this one surprised me, and it was so good because it starts out like slice of life kind of story, and then near the end, it just turns this corner, and you're like, right when you think you might be bored with this book, it just ramps it up. And I haven't read the second issue yet. I just read this first issue, but man, you want to talk about a good story. The guy on the cover is a bartender. He lives with his daughter, his ex actress wife, and their mother in law, or his mother in law, had just moved in. So, it's just, you're thinking it's just a family man. There's a little bit of problems between the husband and wife. And, you know, uh, he goes to the bar to work, and that's when you start noticing weird things. And you're like, okay, maybe this is just a drunk guy talking. And then it gets to the end of that book, and this one, this is another one that I would tell you anybody out there, if you're a fan of horror or just want something different, Living Hell is a really good book so far. Like that's one issue in. I still have the second issue to read, but there is a thing about books we used to say on in stores this week. Now I haven't asked Dan's thoughts on the second part of Where Monsters Lie, uh, or this one, honestly. But we used to say on in store this week that if all three of us like a book, it's a good book. And for me, not having Dan, be on a show with Dan anymore, for me, it's when Kyle tells me that a book is good, I know it's going to be good. And I'm going to read it just based off of what Kyle said. So this is kind of like trickle down sort of thing. But uh, my goodness, Living Hell, Where Monsters Lie Cul-de-sac and Those Not Afraid are like my top three books this week. So do yourself a favor if you're at your LCS or you got a pool list with somebody, add these in. I don't think anybody's going to be disappointed by this one. And I know that if there's anybody out there that's read something else this week that was new, throw it in the chat because I did kind of read a lot of stuff. Some of it was for work, some of it was for myself because even though reading comics is part of my job, I still like to read them because they're fun. And we'll see if Castle's in. There's a book I'm going to talk about, but it was for Castle. I was trying to get Castle on the show, but maybe I can get him in the chat to talk about it. DC All In Aquaman #1. First of all, this is an awesome cover. I love this cover. My first thought was, what would make an awesome variant of this? Scotty Young drawing his style of Aquaman riding Jeff the Shark. So, Scotty Young, if you're out there listening, just saying. I don't know anything about this book, folks. I just showed it because I thought Castle was in the chat still. And I could have got him on the show to talk about it. He was actually supposed to do a short on this, but Aquaman is one of those characters that I've never gone out of my way to collect his books, but the ones that I have read have been good. So this might be one that I look into.
I'm partial of Aquaman riding the seahorse.
I don't know, man. The shark's a little more metal to me.
Well, for no doubt about it.
Vampirella 673, Triple B read that. Vicarious, because of the Panosian covers. Vicarious. Who does Vicarious, Commander? I'm interested. Yeah, he is Jeff the Shark, but it could be not legally Jeff the Shark, just a cute shark.
Baby shark.
Baby shark. Do. Yeah, because I couldn't think of any like cute shark characters, and I mean, you could have him riding a baby king shark. Nope, breaking my canon here. So yeah, he could still ride Jeff, just not legally Jeff. So yeah, there's some of the stuff that was for last week. Here's stuff that I read on my own in a short that I released earlier today. Now, Vicarious Boom Comics. I'm gonna have to put that on the list. So let me just back up just a second. So I did this short today, and I had it set to go off at like 4:15. Sid Perry's. You're good. Nope, you're good. Had it set to go off at like 4:15, and I went off and like folded some clothes or something. I came back 20 minutes later. Went to check on a different short because I did one called Awesome Comics I Read This Week with those 3 comics I just showed. And I went to look at it, and it had already in 20 minutes got up to like 220 something views. So I was like, hell yeah, this is going to be a good day. And then it slowed to a crawl. So, for any of you wanting to get into shorts, just know it's definitely a marathon, not a race sometimes. It's like I said, I mean, if you could see the line on this thing goes straight up and then just boop, goes like this. And I think it's like sitting at 250. But again, for a small channel like us, 250 views, nothing to sneeze at. So if you're out there struggling with the views on shorts and stuff like that, don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it. Just, if you can reach 10 people with what you're talking about, that's the goal. So shorts are just kind of those things for me that if I want to talk about something, but I don't want to, have a whole ass video for it, then I'll do the shorts. But so the next
You
one I'm
know,
gonna, yep,
g- getting into shorts has a
hmm,
whole different meaning than when I was a kid.
yeah, I know.
Sorry, I have
Well,
to be me.
I think it's harder for y'all to get out of shorts. Did you see how tiny your shorts were back then? Jesus, like shorts, banana hammocks, whatever you want to call them. And I would know this because I'm gonna talk about them because I can.
Uh-oh.
My dad, when I was younger, had these blue shorts that he always wore when it was hot outside and he was going to work on something. Now, you got my dad was country country to the core. Okay, so when he wore these blue shorts that were very very just too short, I tried to tell him, I was like, Dad, those are too short for you. I don't care, it's hot out here. But he'd go out there in his straw cowboy hat and his boots in these shorts, and I always remember that how goofy he looked. But man, it's one of those things where it's like I'd give anything to see that again. It's one of those things. Like I can pick on it because I did then too. I picked on my dad a lot when it came to those shorts, but just thinking of tiny shorts just reminded me of that. And it's just it's funny. It was a thing to be seen, but I didn't want anybody to see it. That's right. Camel toe, moose knuckle, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
people
don't
thought our voices were changing because of puberty. Not always the case.
trust me. I remember those shorts. I was 7 years old before the 8 or 9 year. Wait, I can't even remember anymore. I grew up in the '80s, but I'm not one of those people that, well, I was born in like '89, so I'm an '80s kid. No, I was born in '82, so I still remember some of those things. I'm sorry if you're born in '89. I don't consider you an '80s kid, but man, those sporty short. Oh, see, I don't have to repeat that because it's on screen for everyone to read. Holy hell, that's a good one. Okay, before I get too derailed like normal. So anyway, I told the actual YouTube shorts story, some of the books I talked about, and this was one of them. Superman: The Last Days of Lex Luthor. So I got this for Christmas, late Christmas present from Sean. Sean and Jenna had been driving around. They were going to get uh, tacos or something and bring them home. But they've been driving around and they found this comic store called, I think, Dragon's Lair. And they went and checked it out. They're like, next time we need to drag you out to it. And I'm always down to check out new comic stores. But Sean, I think I showed this stuff off last week because Sean had got me this and Jenna what was it? It was Zenoscope 2025 special. Well, I had just gotten to read this a couple days ago. Been a little busy, had some other books and stuff to read, but I just got to read this. Let me tell you something. The DC Black Label stuff is so good. This one is going off that mythos that, because in some stories, Clark and Lex grew up a little bit together. There's some stories out there where Lex was in Smallville, knew Clark. There's other stories where that happened, but then something happened to Lex and he forgot all about it. But this one goes off the fact that they were kind of friends when they were kids. And something happens with Lex and some kryptonite. Lex gets some kind of disease from it, and he's dying. Now, I don't know what happens after this book. There's still one other book out there, but this one was so good because Lex gets Superman's attention in such a unconventional way for normal people, but for Lex, it's just like any other day. So the way he gets Superman's attention was just I don't know if it was supposed to be funny, but I found it funny. So we have it's Superman, he doesn't care if he hates Luther, he doesn't care if Luther hates him. He's going to try, when asked by Luther to help him, he's going to try everything he can. That's just who he is. And and part of it is also because, like I said, in this story, he remembers Lex from when they were kids. And apparently there's some kind of accident that happens. I won't get too much into that, but there's something that happens that has stuck with Clark for all these years. So I read this, and the first thing I said when I was done with it is, why didn't I buy book 2 before I read this? Which is a problem I have with a lot of things that are collected or in the DC Black Label stuff. It's like, hey, there's a book 2, right? Should have bought that first, because now I'm just going to be rereading this one until I can get the other one. I'm pretty sure the other one's like on Amazon or something. It won't be too hard to pick up, but it's just the fact that I don't have it right now. But have you ever heard of this story, Ed?
No, I haven't. Not until you mentioned that you got it as a gift.
It's good. It feels kind of like,
Is it an older book?
I'm not exactly sure. I don't think it's very old. It's a Mark Wade Brian Hitch book. We'll look it up real fast. Lex Days of Lex Luthor. Well, it looks like book 2 comes out June 24th of this year, so I don't think it's
Okay. So you got to wait.
2023. So this one came out in 2023.
Is this going to be the last book, or do you got to wait 2 more years for the next one?
Uh,
That'll be torture.
well, I mean, the good thing is, I got this at the tail end of 2023 or 2024. So June 2025 isn't that far away, honestly, for book 2. I don't know if it's going to be more than 2 books, but man, I hope if there's a book 3, it's not 2 more years. And this book, a lot of the DC Black Label stuff is in that bigger format. So I think Nope or somebody had said like the best thing to bag and board those with, and I can't remember who it was. Somebody had said something. These bigger, like Distillery has the same size, but yeah, you get a chance, folks. If you're a Superman fan, or even if you're not, maybe you're just a Lex Luthor fan. Maybe you don't like either one of the characters. It's still a solid read. Like the first book is really good.
So
The
now is
next,
the Black Label, is that like Marvel's Max, or
I
is it?
don't.
I'm not as
If you
familiar with DC, so I don't know what Black Label.
so Black Label is not a very new like imprint that they've had. Like it's only a couple years old. I I don't want to say it's like Max. Magazine bag and boards work. Okay, that's good. I don't want to say it's like Max, because the closest thing I could say that any of the Black Label stuff for me that I've read, I can't speak to everything. I haven't read a whole lot of it. Is Swamp Thing Green Hell is the closest to Marvel Max. I think that the DC stuff, before they announced they were bringing back Vertigo, I think this was kind of like their Vertigo. Like they didn't have Vertigo for a while, so they did the DC Black Label, and now they're getting Vertigo back. So who knows? I'm not sure. I wouldn't go so far to say Marvel Max though, because the Marvel Max stuff gets like gruesome and bad wordy. Golden Age or magazine bags boards. Otherwise, I have found a special size they make to fit the TMNT Ronin books. Okay. But yeah, like they're all so far all the DC Black Label stuff I found is this size. There's a Superman versus Lobo I want to get. There's a bunch of them. Let's see. So got that, read that, think it's awesome. That's a good way to put it. The Black Label is more adult, and it's adult in a different way that the Max stuff was. The Max stuff was more adult because of the language and the violence. This is, I don't know, more adult, but without the naughty words, I guess. So then we got, because I finally read it, Silver Surfer Superman. And until Castle, and I want to say it was Lars Man. I want to say it was Castle and Lars Man bought this for me on the Comic Collectibles show. I didn't know this book existed. And then I read it, and it's a ton of fun. It's a character that I don't know a whole lot about in The Impossible Man from Marvel. Same size as Batman City of Madness books, so those are definitely okay. But The Impossible Man from Marvel, I don't know a whole lot about him. But it's that character meeting with let me see if I can get it. Mixelpidlick. And they decide to have fun at their universe's expense and swap out Superman and Silver Surfer. Put Silver Surfer in the DC universe, Superman in the Marvel universe. So you got like Superman fighting a Super Skrull, which was awesome. Uh, you have people freaking out with Silver Surfer just, you know, flying through Metropolis. It was a really fun read. There's a lot of weird, not really cameos, but like the two of them, the Impossible Man and Mixelpidlick, the two of them like turning into different characters from each universe and fighting each other. And I've always been a sucker for DC Marvel crossovers. I I don't know why we don't have more. It's the same thing with like movies and stuff. People should share because they could make so much money. I highly recommend you reading Judge Dredd stories, Total War and Apocalypse War. Thank you, Ross Wilson. I am definitely going to put that on my list. I have been wanting to read uh, more Judge Dredd stuff, and I wasn't exactly 100% sure where to start. But I
I
am
don't know how Nick could pull it off, but a one shot that it has to be made is Superman versus Homelander. It needs to happen. Everyone wants to see Superman kick the crap out of Homelander.
100%.
I would spend $50 for that book,
Oh,
especially if they had Superman just pummeling, because that's what I want to see.
I tell you what, man, that is one of those properties where Kyle and I kind of disagree. I like the comics. I think the comics are a little too wanting to be edgy. Oh, thanks, Corey Russ. Appreciate it. I think they're a little too edgy, but they're supposed to. It's supposed to be a breakdown and just over the top thing of what if superheroes were really just jerks, right? I enjoy the show a lot more than I enjoyed the comics. All right, thank you, Ross. I appreciate that. But I enjoy the show, and Kyle likes the comics more than the show. But the boys show feels like they still go there, they still go to places, but it feels like a more digestible way, if that makes any sense, because there's some stuff that happens in that show that
I never. This is the first time that I've been able to say that I'm Team Kyle,
really.
because I like the comic more, but it's not for the reason you're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
It's because it's easier for me to read some of the things they do than to see
Season.
it in live action. Like, I still can't get the human centipede type thing that guy had that could duplicate himself. And dude, that scarred me for life. That image, I cannot get that out of my head.
That was so funny. That the thing that made that funnier for us when we watched it is we were big Supernatural fans,
Hmm.
and that guy played a writer that ended up being God in Supernatural
Oh lordy.
because it's a Kripke series, and Kripke was behind Supernatural, so that's why we got Jensen Ackles, and we're gonna be getting Jared Padalecki in this final season. And then it's funny that you have Jim Beavers who played uh, Bobby Singer in Supernatural, playing Robert Singer in The Boys. But I mean, I get it. I still like the comics, but there's something about the show. The show has done some things that they didn't do in the comics. That the show won't spoil you on the comics won't spoil you on the show, but it's just as messed up.
Oh yeah.
It's just as messed up. Like the Ant Man wannabe, whatever they call that character, because I don't remember that part where they made a literal gigantic dong prop for him to climb into.
Yeah.
And then, I really dug Gen V. Gen V was a really good show too, and things that happened in that were just insane. But again, I'd recommend this book for one, before I get too far off. But also, I would absolutely love for them to find some kind of deal where they could write Superman versus Homelander. I would
Oh
love that.
heck yes.
Just
I went on a little mission that I was going to try to make like a short animated video of it, but I just haven't had the time to devote it because I know what I want to do with it and I know where I would go with it. It's just trying to find time. So I
yeah.
wish, if I could just get a comic, I'd be happy, but that's got to happen. It's just got to happen. And the one thing I will say about the Boys TV show, it was
Hmm.
casted brilliantly. There isn't one actor that doesn't nail their role in that show.
Oh yeah,
It was weird seeing Elizabeth Shue acting that way, but she was brilliant.
yeah.
Homelander, as much as I hate his guts, the actor's brilliant. And then, of
Oh,
course, there's the big badass who everything he's in is gold.
and
So,
I've been a fan of Anthony Starr and Carl Urban since
mhm.
their days on Xena, Warrior Princess,
Wow,
because
that's
they're both New Zealand actors, and a lot of the Hercules: The Legendary Journey and Xena Warrior Princess was filmed in New Zealand.
huh.
So both of those actors, like Carl Urban, played multiple characters on that show. He was Cupid and somebody else, and
Oh
then
my God, I cannot imagine him as Cupid.
awesome. It was awesome. But I've been a fan, and Anthony Starr outside of Xena, uh, the show Banshee. If you've never watched the show Banshee, I highly suggest it. He is you never learn his real name, but he is somebody who just gets out of prison, goes to there you go, Commander knows which one I'm talking about, goes to this bar, and the the new sheriff that's traveling to Banshee comes to this bar with them. Well, these dudes come in, attack them. The sheriff ends up getting killed. So this guy, played by Anthony Starr, steals his identity and becomes the sheriff of this town. It's awesome. It is an awesome, very not safe for kids. It's a very adult show, but it's awesome. Like if y'all have never checked out Banshee, I think I think it's on HBO Max, but check it out. I've been doing a rewatch of that lately. It's a terrific show.
Is it actually about like a banshee and ghosts and stuff, or is that
No,
just
no, it's just the town's called Banshee,
gotcha, town name?
but it's an awesome show though. It is an awesome like I won't go as far as to say pre-Reacher, but it's Reacher esque in some of the things that happen.
Hmm. I had never seen Anthony Starr before. Um, the boys. I had never seen him in anything, and if I did, I didn't recognize him. But he does such a good job as Homelander to make me hate him as much as I hate him.
Yeah.
Because I almost hate the one on the TV show more than the one in the comic. Because at
Yeah.
least they kill him off there, and we haven't got that pleasure in the show yet.
I know. Commander, I didn't hear that they were tying the two shows together for the final season, but if they do, that'd be awesome. I was hoping we were kind of going to start getting when Boys was in the off season, Gen V would be there, but one of the actors, the main actors from Gen V, unfortunately passed in a motorcycle accident. Uh, so they might be dealing with that. He was in Cobweb. I remember hearing about the movie Cobweb with Anthony Starr. Oh, are you talking? Anthony Starr was going to be. If that rumor was true, then they need to make the Blade movie. Then he was rumored to play Dracula. Oh, that would have been awesome. The kids show up in the last episode. Yeah, they do. They do. You're right. I. It's been the unfortunate thing about some of these shows sometimes is once they're done, if I don't go back and rewatch them, it's kind of like comics. I forget big parts of it. But here, before I get too much farther in with this, let me talk about the last book that I had. I hadn't known about this one until I happened to be looking at a site where I read comics sometimes, and was just looking for Superman stories and found this Superman smashes the Klan. Uh, this one is Jean Lun Yang and Guri Hiru. I'm probably butchering those names. This is a very manga style 1940s Superman. Like this Superman can't fly. He runs everywhere and he runs on telephone wires to make sure he steers clear of traffic. So this book was fantastic. It deals with a lot of racism and xenophobia. It's a family moves from Chinatown to Metropolis, and the kids are kind of fitting in, and the their son is joining the baseball team, and he accidentally hits one of the other kids with the ball. Kid starts saying racist nonsense to him and gets kicked off the team. The team is run by Jimmy. Uh, and Ross, I'm gonna write that one down too, man. I appreciate that. I love Superman, but I haven't read every single thing of Superman. He is very super. He's still very strong. He can still leap tall buildings in a single bound and outrun anything man made. It's just they kept the aspect of he can't fly. And the very first Action Comics, I don't remember exactly when Superman started flying. I just know in the very first Action Comics, Superman didn't fly. But this kid gets kicked off the team. He goes home and you find out his uncle is like the grand scorpion of this clan. So it starts causing trouble. Uh, Again, it's one of those where you think by the title it's going to be this heavy-handed, beat you over the head with it, and it's really not. It's done in such a natural, organic, and real way that it made this book a surprise hit for me. So this is one of those that I would tell, if you're kind of a Superman fan, this is one to be on the lookout for. I really enjoyed this one.
You mentioned it's a manga style. Does that mean it's black and white?
No, it's in color.
Oh, okay.
Just got off the phone with Aya. She says, "You want pork chop?" Heck yeah, I want pork chops.
Pork chops and apple sauce.
Ooh. That actually sounds good. Let me see if I can pull. I'm gonna see if I can pull up a picture. Let you see. I had. Let me go up. Go back up to this one. Let me add something. See if I can show you because I really dig this look. Let me see if where did it go? Do, 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 do. There we go.
Don't forget to make it a ping.
Huh. Well, I guess. Okay, I guess it doesn't want to work for me. Right there, there it goes. I'm gonna take the chat off for just a second so I can make the picture a little bigger.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Love the S. That's
Yes.
classic shield right there, brother. My
Love it.
mother made it for me. It's one of the
Yes.
best lines in that series.
Yes. But this is the art style, and this is the coloring is so good on the. I really dug how this book looked.
That's the style that my daughter likes to draw.
Yeah. Nice. But yeah,
Thank you, Beef. I'm glad you got that reference because I don't think Jay got it, and I was feeling very old.
I might not have heard you because I was looking for
The
this
pork
stuff.
chops and applesauce. That was like a
Oh,
classic line from the Brady Bunch when Peter's trying to talk like Marlon Brando. He's like, "I want pork chops and applesauce."
sure, Jan.
Hey, no, Marsha. Enough of that now.
All right. So those were the comics that I've read this week, and thanks to folks on here, I now have an ever growing list. I love it. I love getting suggestions.
Can I toss one out there?
Absolutely, you can.
It's not brand new, but it was brand new last year and it ended up being one of my favorite comics. And I haven't heard a lot of people talk about it from Distillery.
Hmm.
It's another oversized one called Somna, and
Okay.
it takes place during the Tralem. Oh my goodness, like the Salem witch trials, and it's definitely not for kids. Um, it's got a lot of adultness in it, but it's very good. I don't want to talk about it too much for people interested, but if you're into like the whole witch thing and the circles of hell and stuff like that, and you don't mind a little adultness in it, it's a great read.
Yeah, Miss Jen actually covered that on Minute to Skim It once.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, as soon as you said the name, I was like, oh, okay. That was not. I don't know if that was their first book out.
I don't know either, but
Might
it's
it
another
be?
oversize.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I
that's
think
my dilemma is I have all of them, but I have nowhere to board and bag them, so I'll have to try the magazine trick.
yeah. I know for right now, all our Black Label stuff sits on the shelves with our our trades because I
Yep.
don't have a box to put them in because the only way they're going in the box is if you turn them sideways.
Yeah, and then you can't put anything else in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on a shelf with my Halloween hardcover that I got of the original movie. So and my Trick or Treat hardcover. Oh, God, I love that book. The second one, Kickstarter. I think the next book's coming out pretty soon because the Kickstarter was a couple months ago, and I'm hoping they make that into a movie because I don't know if you saw Trick or Treat movie.
Hmm.
Brilliant adaptation of the book. And if they do a Trick or Treat 2 for a Halloween movie, Eddie gonna be one happy camper.
All right. You have just educated me. I didn't realize Trick or Treat was a book.
Oh yeah, excellent graphic novel. Excellent.
Now that is the one with Sam, right?
Yep,
That's Trick or Treat.
yep, yep.
I
And
didn't know.
every story in the movie is in the book,
Huh.
and it's almost verbatim, except in the book they didn't go R rating like the movie did with the nudity and stuff. But it, they're great little stories, and they all tie together. And I can't wait to get my hands on the second one.
Big Burn is on my list. Now that is on my list because I quite enjoyed Trick or Treat, the movie.
Well, the second one, the Kickstarter ended about a month or two ago. I'm not sure when the book comes out, probably around Halloween time. So I would jump on it because that first one they was very limited because they didn't know if it would go anywhere. So now if you want to try to find it and buy it, it's a lot of money, but it's a great book. And especially if you're a Halloween nerd like me. I mean, I live Halloween. I count down Halloween starting November 1st.
Hey,
So,
ain't nothing wrong with that. People are saying this year's the year of Superman, and I'm like, that's every day for me.
yep.
Every day for me is the year of Superman. But that's interesting to know, man, because I was a fan of the movie, and that's another movie I can add to the list that I didn't know was a comic first.
That doesn't surprise me because Somno was a great book, Triple B. So it's not too surprising.
It's
That's
totally
where it would be so nice if you could get heads up on stuff that's coming in the future, like we talked about on a different episode. We need to get a show or something that looks at books 4 months from now, so that you're aware of it. Because if I hadn't have been playing around on my League of Geeks account, I would have never found Mark Spears' Monster in time to get the Bride cover because it sold out like the first day.
yeah,
And because I love the Bride so much, I was able to pre-order 4 copies because I knew that I'd want to keep one, I'd want to frame one, and I'd want one to put out for display and one to read. And they're going for like $400 now,
yeah,
and I
yeah.
got them for $4 because I pre-ordered them. And stuff like that it would just be so nice. And Somna, maybe I got Somna from your show that you did with Jen, but I
Hmm.
don't know how I got turned on to it. But oh my god, I love it. It's a great book.
Let's see. Commander says use magazine holders as well, so that's another tip for those books.
I just roll them up and stick them in my back pocket on my bicycle. You know
Oh,
you did it.
I
Come on.
did that when I was like 6 and 7. Yeah,
Yeah, we all have, and we're all stupid for doing it.
yeah, I remember my Defenders of Dynamo City didn't last very long with me doing that. So there was some comics, awesome suggestions in the comments. I love that. They've got a lot of new stuff to read. But I want to switch over and Triple B. I think might be happy with this too. I don't know if you've seen this, but we are about to head back to Shadyside for a new Fear Street. Did you watch any of the Fear Street stuff, Ed?
I have never heard of it.
Oh my god. Okay. Here's what I'm gonna tell you. I usually add stuff to my list. You need to add this to your list. So apparently, because I didn't know about this, Fear Street were the more adult Goosebumps that R.L. Stein wrote. Jenna told me about them when I first saw the trailer. These are horror movies. The first set was like Fear Street 1980 something, and then there was like a part two to that and then there was another one where they went back in time. It's a whole trilogy of horror movies. Watch them. Like I don't know what I was expecting when I first saw it. I was like, kind of like, oh, it's gonna be like a little more scarier Goosebumps. Yeah, man, there's some things that happen in those movies. I will never look at a bread slicer the same way again.
Oh, another bread slicer movie, huh?
Yeah,
Those are so popular. We talked about that last time.
yeah.
So is the
It's
name of the show Fear Street or is it Shady Side?
so the name of the movies are Fear Street, and then there's like there's Fear Street, then there's Fear Street 1666. They use all the same actors
Okay.
like throughout this, except one of them was like 1970 something, and the main actors appear at the beginning, and then there's like a flashback, and it's got Sadie Sink from Stranger Things is in it. Yeah, yeah. Triple B knows what I'm talking about. Like he and I were excited when I think Dan was saying months ago that they were doing a new a new Fear Street. This one's I think it's called Fear. This one's gonna be called like Fear Street 1998 or 1880 1988 or Prom Queen. There you go. I was getting there. I was getting there. It took me a second. Yeah, the new one is called Fear Street Prom Queen. I cannot wait for this. Horror fans should definitely have this on their radar. I loved the first trilogy. I loved the first three we watched. Jenna and I watched them. We watched two of them because they were released like a month or two after each other or something like that. So you didn't have to wait very long in between them. But two of them had already been released, and we watched them. Take care, Corey. I appreciate you showing up, boss. Appreciate you.
See you,
Um,
Corey.
we watched the two of them. Either that or we watched all three. It's been a while. Like these were out a bit ago, but yeah, do yourself a favor, man. You got some free time. Check out the Fear Street movies, man. Get yourself ready for this one.
I'll have to see if I can find them somewhere off Netflix because I haven't had Netflix ever since they did the you can't share the account thing because that really irritates me when you got a kid in college and the main reason is so that they could watch it and now you can't share anymore and that's just annoying.
It is, and I completely agree with you on that. I wish there was a way to maybe set a limit on sharing.
Yeah, they should at least give you two because
Yeah,
when you want to have it at home and you have kids in college or whatever, I
exactly.
mean, come on.
Pay. I tried to have this argument before on. I was a guest on Nerd News Now, which was another show the Experience used to do, and I was like, look, if you're paying for Netflix and you share it with one other person, like that's not gonna break. That's not gonna break anybody. Now I get having one account and having 50 or 60 people
Right.
watching the same account. Like I get things like that.
Well, from what I understand, if you even go on the road, it won't work, right?
Yep,
Because it has
because
to.
yep, it
Yeah.
has to be the IS. See, Commander, you're lucky, boss. Like we share one with Sean. Like we pay for Amazon and something else. I can't remember. So we share like those are still good. Those you can still share no problem. But Netflix every once in a while it'll do some kind of thing where it looks at Sean's ISP and anything outside of Sean's internet service provider number, it like locks the account out. Or you could say you're traveling. And if you say you're traveling, we have to. There's like an email that gets sent to Sean, and Sean has to like approve it.
I wonder how Beef is doing it. Because when they wouldn't let us do it anymore is when I quit.
Yeah, like we have to say traveling.
Hmm. Yeah, but you can't say traveling and then stay in the same place for 4 months.
Well,
Or can you? I don't know how
yeah,
well they monitor it. Because I know a Hulu and oh whatever Disney Plus just
mm-hmm,
started, so you can't have more than one either. So
yeah,
we don't have that one either. I still have my Prime, and I got a free month of Max, so that's what I've been binging Superman, and I'm gonna hit that Creature Commandos while it's still free.
yeah. We'll be talking about that in a second. I'm not going to go in depth, but I'm going to talk about that one for a few minutes. But yeah, uh, so this is kind of a horror section that I'm doing right here. So we got this. Like I said, if you haven't watched any of the Fear Street stuff, do yourself a favor. If you're a horror fan, you should watch it, especially if you get Triple B telling you that they're awesome. Like that should tell you right there you should watch it. The next one I want to talk about, you also talked about Max. Welcome to Derry. I am a huge fan of the book, aside from certain parts. Uh, I love the Tim Curry, the miniseries. Love that. Scared the hell out of me as a kid. Still kind of freaks me out as an adult. But I really dug it chapter one. Like the things they did with that movie, I really dug it. Two, I like, but I think overall one is the better movie. I'm not exactly 100% sure if this is supposed to take place before any of that, or if it's just stuff happening, stuff happening before the events of the first movie, or what. Like I haven't read a whole lot. I just know that the series is happening. Uh, I'm kind of hoping that since Max is kind of like that, kind of like the Disney Plus, that it's we're going to be able to use Bill Skarsgård. I don't even know if his Pennywise is a part of that's like I know nothing about this other than the fact that it's happening. So like if anybody else knows anything about this, are we following from like the old days when Pennywise first shows up, or is there any information? Because I didn't look up. I just remembered hearing this was going to happen. I saw that they had teaser, this teaser poster up, and it says coming soon. And I guess my other question is, if we're doing this series, do you think that they're going to try to do another movie? I mean, I know that there's only the book, but do you think that there's a way that they could do another movie?
I've heard that another movie's on the way, but I haven't heard anything about it. And you're going to be so disappointed. I didn't even put it together when you said "Welcome to Derry."
Mm-hmm.
I'm ashamed of myself. And then I didn't notice the balloon as the O either. I'm like, oh yeah, and it even says "brought you it." Yeah, that was dumb.
Hey
So I
man,
lost a staple on my horror card.
okay, it's a prequel. Okay, Commander says it's a prequel. They have been okay. They have been pretty quiet on the plot. Prequel. I'm hoping they still have Bill Skarsgård. I'm gonna say something about this. I know that sometimes we get to a point where an actor just for certain people, oh, he's just become too popular. He's getting too much work. That's a weird thing to me. Like, I love Bill Skarsgård. Put him in freaking everything. I don't care. Uh, but I'm hoping they, if it's a prequel, we get him back.
Uh,
Skarsgård, oh,
Yeah, I'm
awesome.
sure he's in it. Yeah.
Yep. Commander just said. I'm glad, Commander. I'm glad you have more of a finger on the pulse of this one, man.
I did read or watch a interview with Skarsgård though that says that he does want to take a break from horror because he's afraid of getting stereotyped in the role. But I mean, he does everything so well. It's kind of hard not to.
Yeah.
Have you seen the new Nosferatu yet? By the way, while we're on
No,
horror,
no, I haven't. I'm excited.
you will not be disappointed.
Oh,
Did you see uh the
Walk with Vampire.
final voyage of the Demeter?
No, that's on my list.
That's really good too. My only gripe is that they CGI'd Dracula. But oh
Oh,
my god, that's really good. But yeah, Nosferatu. Oh, they kicked it out of the park.
oh, Commander, I know, man. I'm messing with you, but you do know a little bit more than I do. I didn't even Google it. I just I just saw the poster and remember, hey, we were supposed to be getting this. I'm just glad that's actually happening. Kingdom on Netflix is a must watch for horror period dramas in Korea. See, I can definitely get down on that. That has actually been on the list for us. We just haven't watched it. But we still have like Sweet Home season 2 to watch. Uh, I think they did a second season of All of Us Are Dead. Jenna's got me into the Korean horror stuff. There's a movie called Hashtag Alive. That's a zombie movie, Korean movie. Man, that and Train to Busan are just two excellent zombie movies. If you're tired of the zombie genre, those two might get you back into it. but I definitely need to get watch Kingdom.
Have you watched The Wailing?
The Wailing.
Yeah, that's a great Korean horror if you're into that.
Going to the list.
Going to the list. You said you watched Train to Busan, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The Wailing was from like 2014, 2015. And the last time I checked, it was at like 96% on ratings. And if you really like Korean horror, another good one is I think it was called The Host. But that one's older. That's like early 2000s, I think.
I
But
might have seen that one.
I didn't know if you were into that stuff. And then another
Oh,
one. See, because when it comes to this kind of stuff, I can yap about it all night. Another really good one is I Saw the Devil. That's a good one.
pop it up back here for a minute.
And an absolute must watch, but it's animated, if you're okay with that, is I think it was called, oh, what is that called? The city in Korea. Oh, was it Seoul? Seoul? Yeah, Seoul Station, I think was the name of it. I think. And it's a zombie thing, but it was really good. And
Oh,
Natalie actually got me onto that.
oh yeah. Jenna's a
Pain in the
big
butt.
Korean. Well, you said that, not me.
I had to finish. You
Yeah,
paused at the wrong
yeah.
spot, brother.
I know. I definitely set that one up. But yeah, things like All of Us Are Dead. That was amazing. Sweet Home. Uh, there's a there's something about the way Korean movies are done. Man, there's just their horror stuff is top notch.
Beef,
So
have
there's
you ever seen Robot Holocaust?
no.
You mentioned Hannibal Holocaust. Have you seen Robot Holocaust? If you like cheesy, stupid old horror, sci-fi more, dude, if you can find it, watch it. Do you like bad good movies?
Oh
They're good because they're bad.
oh yeah,
Robot Holocaust. It's called the Tunnel of Vampire Snakes. Okay, and you have to stay away from the wall because the snakes will come out and eat your blood. I swear to you on everything that I believe in, the snakes are socks over people's hands. And you can see the arms come out with the sock on it and like this scary looking, and all it does is like wipe their face and blood goes squirting and they're like, ah. It is so bad that it's one of my favorite guilty pleasures. Robot Holocaust, early 90s. It's not even a B movie. It's like a D minus movie, but it's so much fun.
yeah, on the list
And
because
there's another one. I can't remember the name of it. What's the name of the kid that was in Terminator 2? I can never remember his name.
Eddie
The
Furlong, Edward
Yeah,
Furlong.
yeah, Edward
Yeah.
Furlong. So give me just a second and I'll have you the name of the movie.
Okay.
But you can go on to another topic while I'm looking if you want.
Yeah.
I don't care.
I've heard of student bodies CIB. I haven't watched it. Uh, we just watched awesome. I can't remember what it was called. It's on Max. It's the Junji Ito stuff that they did for Max. You want to talk about a mind trip? I don't know that much about Junji Ito stuff. I just hear how a lot of horror fans love the dude. But man, you want to talk about some trippy stuff. The problem is intermediate. Intermedio. Okay. The
The
only
only This movie is so bad. And the worst part is that Edward Furlong, he was such an amazing character in Terminator 2. In
mhm.
this movie, his tagline is "What the ass," and it's just so stupid to hear because he yells it whenever anything happens. He's like, "What the ass," and I lose it. And me and my buddy were just rolling, and we weren't drinking beer or nothing. We were just laughing our asses off watching that movie. So if you like bad movies, Intermedio is another. Put it on your list, and it's got Edward Furlong in it. And you're not going to believe that it's the same Edward Furlong because it's like, dude, how low did your career go to be in this movie?
Speaking of there's something about Medio, they just reminded me, I saw, and I haven't watched this movie yet, but apparently there's a horror movie called Abruptio that's done with realistic puppets or some
Really?
kind of puppets. And it was like, uh, oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. Sid Haig. It was like one of Sid Haig's last movies. Y'all get a chance, look up a trailer for Abruptio. This
And
thing
it's
looks
spelled just like you're saying it? Abruptio.
Abruptio.
Ignore the message you're about to get because I'm putting it in our chat.
Okay.
Otherwise, I will forget it.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody's seen it or if anybody else has even heard of it. I just happened to catch it on YouTube. Like there's a clip of it. It's a movie apparently from like 2023. Jordan Peele's in it. I thought the guy who played Connor in 3 was more annoying. Oh, Nick. Dang it. Because he was in Disturbing Behavior.
Oh, that guy.
I think that he played John Connor, right? In one
In
of the movies.
something, I don't know what it was, but in something, I think you're right.
Yeah. I can't never remember the kid.
I
The
think
dude's
it's the
name.
one Nope's talking about.
Yeah, but it's not. Maybe it's not Nick. I just can't remember. I can't remember the dude's name off the top of my head, but I think I know who you're talking about.
Is it me?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
What was this?
Gifts.
Ooh. Oh yeah.
I got you a snack because pork chop's gonna take like an hour-ish. I figured I'll wait till you're done.
Oh, awesome.
Love you.
Love you too.
Hey, Ed. Bye.
I love you too.
All the love is for you, Ed. And my love for Jay is a lie.
Jesus. Nick Stahl.
Giving
Thank
away
you.
our secret. You
Oh,
shouldn't have done that. How have thou betrayed me?
oh God. He was also
That's
in,
what she
yeah.
said.
He was also in Sid Say. Nick Stahl. Thank you.
Yes.
Let's
In
see.
Livingston City.
So, getting back to TV shows and stuff that I'm super excited for. Going back to Netflix, Stranger Things season 5. Okay,
With King Ghidorah.
yeah, kind of, yeah. So, this was a show that I have to thank Jenna for. It's not that I wasn't interested in watching this when it first came out. It was just it wasn't like high priority on my list. It was like, oh, okay, that looks cool. I might check that out. Jenna watched it like 4 times before she was like, okay, you got to watch this. Watched the first season, loved it. Watched all the other seasons so far, loved it. I was I was actually on behind the scenes of the FOC show that we have on Fridays on the Experience, and learned before the show that Matthias hadn't seen this last season because there's a Stranger Things D&D book that's got Eddie on the cover, and I was like, look, here's what I'm gonna tell you. It might be we're infiltrate. That'd be so awesome. All right,
Nice
take
catch,
care,
no.
Triple B. Um, and I was like, Eddie is like the breakout character in that season for me.
What a great name.
Have you ever seen Stranger Things? Did you ever watch Stranger
I
Things?
haven't watched a single episode of
Oh.
it. I didn't even know what it was. I have read some comics,
Oh,
but I haven't seen the show. Again, it's on Netflix.
yeah. Okay.
And
That's
I
cool.
also, I forgot to mention, but I've whined about this before. I still got my ass burnt from them canceling Paper Girls on a cliffhanger because I loved that show. And it was just after they did that is when I canned Netflix, and I haven't been back to it.
See, I thought Paper Girls was on Prime.
Wasn't that Netflix? I'm pretty sure it was Netflix.
I thought it was on Amazon Prime.
Well, maybe I'm wrong, but
I could be thinking of Yellow Jackets or something though too.
I haven't seen that one.
But
I know Reacher's on Prime.
oh, I know. I need to get I need to get on that one, man. I really do because I really enjoyed the part that I watched. But this is something that I'm super excited for. This is going to be the final season. Yep, and it's going to be Joseph Quinn who played Eddie is going to be Johnny Storm in the Fantastic Four movie. Paper Girls was Showtime, was it?
No, I've never had Showtime. Ah, you're gonna make me look it up. You can't do this to me. I'm too OCD. Now I gotta look it up.
That's why I'm glad you're looking it up because I'm OCD too and I want to know. Anyway,
But you were right, sir. It was Prime.
It was Prime. Okay.
So I should be bad at Prime, but I use their free shipping too much to cancel it.
That's true. That's true.
Did you
Plus,
like
you're not
Paper
Richard.
Girls? Not to change topics, but did you like it?
That's one that's on the list. I know it. I know
Oh.
it's ended, but
I wouldn't, because they leave you on a horrific cliffhanger. It's good watch. It's interesting. But the way they just dropped it is terrible.
I still will. I've watched plenty of stuff that we know, like Chaos. We just watched Chaos. Chaos was fantastic. It's kind of wrapped up, but they canceled it after the first season. Was that Blood Drive Commander in Beef? Or something along the lines of that, where they yeah. I think I remember something like that. Was it Spike TV? Or did they change back from there?
Yes, I did see that movie. That was good. Or TV show, yes.
If that's the one I'm thinking of. But yeah, I'm super excited for this one. The last season had me in tears. The last couple episodes, it's such a great show. I know, here's the great thing about loving things that other people don't. Just stuff that makes us different when it comes to being fans of stuff. This is something I'm a huge fan of. Dan, not so much. But Dan loves Creature Commandos. I thought the show was okay. I love Letterkenny. Kyle loves Letterkenny. I got my whole house to watch Letterkenny, and they love it. Dan can't stand. He doesn't get the humor of Letterkenny. But it's fine. There are people out there that can look at Stranger Things and be like, I don't like this at all. And that's fine. If you don't like it, that's cool. I'm just letting you know that this is something I'm excited for. I saw the poster here and I was like, you know what? I just want to talk a little bit about it because I know there's a comic that I think people should probably jump on, especially because one of the covers is looks like an old D&D book. And I'm talking the book has seen some stuff, kind of D&D book. You've had this D&D book for 40 plus years and it's got cracks and it's got, little torn pieces. Cover looks amazing. So
I have my original set.
Yeah. But I bet yours looks pretty pristine.
It is, except I used, those little sticker things that you can put on the top of a page so you can put a title.
Yeah.
I got those all over in them so that, if I got to go to hit points or treasure, whatever, I can just grab the tab and flip it. But other than that, I still have the original cardboard box where it came without any books other than a little paper manual, and it didn't have any dice. It had chits. Do you know what chits are?
No.
They're like these little tiny perforated squares that you had to rip apart to have numbers on them. And you'd put the chits in a hat. And the way you'd roll your dice is you'd reach into the hat or the bag and pull out a numbered chit. And that was your roll.
Wow.
Good old days. I got addicted to D&D when I was 5.
Well, that's awesome.
And I still have all my dice and my original set. And Natalie got into it, so I bought her the advanced, I think it was 4th or 5th edition, whatever the newest one was, because that's what her friends were playing. And she actually brought some of her friends to the house, and I tortured them in a dungeon, and it was fun.
Interesting.
Fun stuff.
All right, so this is just like I said, this is just another one that I'm excited for. Now, the next thing I have, I know I could have Googled it when I saw this picture. I know I could have Googled it and answered this for myself. But the fact that this is a real thing that's happening.
Get the hell out of here.
This is a real thing that is happening.
As in Winnie?
Yeah, well, there's
The
two.
movies. Yes,
Yeah.
I've watched them. I love them.
Yeah, yeah. There's that. Apparently, there's a Bambi movie coming out, and a lot of these characters I don't actually recognize, but
I
one kind
love
of looks
how
like a
it says,
Babadook in the back.
I love Monsters Assemble. That's great.
It's just, it's one of those things. The reason I was so caught off guard was that first movie got so much hate. Second movie got a little bit better apparently. Like they put a little more budget into it. But I'm like, wow, you really made a Pooniverse before you could get a actual Universal Monster Universe.
Isn't that crazy? What is this going to be on? Do you know?
I have no idea. Like I saw this, somebody posted this somewhere.
God, I hope this isn't a prank.
Apparently it's on, I think it's on IMDb.
Huh. Well, I'm in. That's great. I love those two movies.
Like it's supposed to be, yeah, it's on IMDb.
Nice.
It's just,
Speaking of Bambi, have you ever watched Bambi versus Godzilla?
no.
It's one of the classic first viral videos that came out in the 90s. It's fantastic. Google it, watch it, and laugh your butt off.
Well, that's definitely on the list now.
It's only like a 30-second video. It's fantastic. And keep in mind, it was one of the first viral videos way back in the 90s. So give it a little love.
Well, yeah. Yeah. So there's this. There's gonna be a Bambi movie. I don't know. Like there's so many things because now that there's so many things in public domain, like there's gonna be a Popeye horror movie. There's gonna be a Peter Pan horror movie. There's gonna be a Screamboat Killy movie. Like part of me wonders.
Is it true that the guy that was? Did you see the reboot of Roadhouse?
No.
I can't remember the dude. I can't remember the dude's name, but he was the bad guy in that, and I think he was an MMA fighter.
Conor McGregor.
Yes, I heard he was playing Popeye. I was wondering if that was true.
I don't know because from the trailer I saw, the person has a lot of, there's a lot of makeup work and prosthetics. So I didn't look too deep into it. All I know is I saw a trailer and I watched it. And I was like, okay, this is a real thing that's happening. Mm-hmm. And see, the thing is, though, this isn't new. Many years ago, there was a Rumpelstiltskin horror movie. There was Rumpelstiltskin was played by the cousin of Quark on Deep Space Nine, I believe. But there was that. There was Pinocchio's Revenge. Like using these fairy tale characters as horror villains, like it's not new. It's just this is the first time it feels like they're assembling these movies. This is like taking all those Anchor Bay ripoff movies and being like, oh, it's all a connected universe. To me, at least. Like I won't say that I think the movies are terrible, like the two Winnie the Pooh movies, because I haven't seen them. So I won't say that. All I know is they got Tigger for the second one, and Owl. So I won't.
They're
judge.
both a lot of fun. They are both a lot of fun. But you gotta like that kind of fun to have fun. If you're going in thinking you're going to see the next big thing, well, then you're going to be, one of these naysayers. But that Popeye movie, isn't it something called Popeye the Slayer Man instead of Sailor?
I think so.
Something like that, because they made a play on the name. And they did have that Ewan McGregor guy in makeup, but it could have just been a fan fiction because I haven't heard casting or a release date for it yet. And I didn't even know if it was real until you just said you saw it on IMDb.
Yeah, that's...
People put off so much fake stuff anymore. It's hard to know what's coming and what's not.
Yeah, 100%. And I gotta agree with you, Commander. I've seen clips. I haven't seen the movie, so I can't say I think the movie's bad. But I've seen clips of Connor in there. Connor should probably just stick to fighting.
You talking Roadhouse?
Yeah.
It's actually a lot of fun.
Oh, I bet the movie's fun.
Don't watch the after credit scene though.
Okay.
Unless you want to stare at Connor's ass for 20 minutes while he walks naked away from the camera.
You're lying. That's not a real cutscene, is it?
That is, I swear, dude, that's the end scene. Literally the end scene.
See, he doesn't even get his throat ripped out. What kind of Roadhouse movie is this?
They make you think that he's dead, but then you find out not so much. Not to spoil it, sorry, I shouldn't have, but they set it up for a second, but I kind of hope they don't do it because the first one was fun, but if they try to take it too seriously and try to make a franchise at 2 or 3, it's going to be just bad.
So yeah, just thought I'd show this just because I can't believe this is happen. Like, this is a thing that's going to happen, but if there's somebody out there that loves those movies, hopefully we'll get a better list of who all these people are. So like I said, one looks like a Babadook. It just looks like a bunch of random things. So there's that. And then, since I talked about these not too long ago, I wanted to show people the posters. So this is that witch movie I was talking about, Superstition. This is the one where there's actually a British. It says British cover, and it's called The Witch. So if you can't find it under Superstition, maybe Witch 1982. But the tagline on the box is "No one lives." So if you want to watch a movie, big ass spoilers, where just nobody gets out, see if you can find this movie. I think they have Blu-rays on Amazon of it. I hadn't looked at the price or anything, but this was just a movie when I was a kid. When I saw it, it freaked me out. If you're into witches and stuff, it's a good one. The other one I talked about was this one right here. Don't Go to Sleep. This was a TV movie that creeped me the hell out as a kid. And I specifically remember the image on the box right there. Specifically remember that image. This was look, it was a movie of the week. Anybody remember movie of the weeks?
Oh yeah. Do you remember Trilogy of Terror?
Barely.
That was a really good one that freaked me out with that damn Kichi doll or whatever at the end. Oh.
I mean, this one had Valerie Harper in it.
Right, yeah, I see that.
My goodness, Valerie Harper from Hogan's Heroes. Or not Hogan's Heroes, I'm sorry. Hogan Family. Wow.
That was Hogan fantastic.
Holy crap. Hogan's Heroes. I just had Hogan on the brain. Oh my goodness. I just have Hogan on the brain, Talking about Netflix, Hogan getting booed, and then trying to think of Hogan's Heroes. I did it again. Hogan Family. Good night. I bet I did that a lot as a kid too.
Probably.
People didn't know what the hell I was talking about. I was like, yeah, Valerie on Hogan's Heroes. Goodness. But anyway, for a TV movie in the 80s, this was very creepy. I used to love watching those things though, like this. There was one called like Invitation to Hell with Susan Lucci and Robert Urich,
Hmm.
where Robert Urich and his family move into this gated community, and there's this spa everybody goes to, and it's actually a gateway to hell. I loved Robert Urich as a kid, man. He's a fantastic actor. I very sad when he passed.
Yeah.
So we said something about it earlier, and I'm not going to go into spoilers with this one, everybody. So just don't worry about it. But watch the final episode of Creature Commandos the other day. There was only 7 episodes. Like it was a weird number. I couldn't believe it. Like we were sitting there watching it. And I was like, I can't be the final episode. It's only episode 7. Nope, that was the final episode. And here's what I'll say about it. I liked it. I think out of the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, I think this was the weakest. That doesn't mean that I hate it or I think it's dumb or anything like that. It just it wasn't as hardcore as I thought it was going to be. And I mean, it's pretty hardcore in spots. Don't get me wrong. Like there's just it felt like it was right on the edge of being as good as the other two, but it never really took that. Like there's some very emotional stuff in this. Like I'm not saying that this was just dumb because it wasn't. It was really good. It's just I don't think I like it as much as other people like it. There's a lot of people that are like, this is 10 out of 10. You know, they're getting a second season, so obviously, you know, people enjoyed it. And like I said, I enjoyed it. I'll watch season 2. But I don't think I was into this as much as other folks were. I think I'm more excited to see the future. Like this was just the appetizer. I get that. This is just supposed to, introduce some things. Like we got some other characters shown in the background of this to hype you up. But
Now this is part of the gun stuff, right?
yes, this is like the opening, like the little sample of the DCU, not the tone or anything like that. Because the tones for this apparently are going to be kind of like whatever tone fits that property, that's what they're going to go for. So don't think like if there's anybody out there thinking, oh, this is what the entire DCU is going to be, it's not. There's just certain projects are going to have certain tones. This one, it's a fun watch. Don't get me wrong. It's just for me personally, I won't really have to watch this again, unless I'm watching it with somebody else, like somebody who hadn't seen it. Me personally, I won't have to watch this alone by myself. Like it's not a rewatch thing. Like I'm going to be rewatching Superman and Lois and Smallville or the Suicide Squad or Peacemaker. This one was fine for me watching one time. Don't let that discourage anybody though who hasn't watched it or haven't finished it. Don't let that discourage you. I'm really not saying at all that it's bad. It's just for me, I overhyped it for myself. I thought, maybe I'll just wait till it's over. We let a couple episodes pass, and so we watch a couple episodes. It's good. I don't think it's the best thing that Gunn has done so far. So, just
I'm gonna give it a try, but
yeah,
I'm really picky about people making leeway with Universal Monsters. So seeing them as some kind of a military squad or something, I don't know if I'll like that or not. But I'm gonna go in with an open mind and give it a try.
yeah.
I mean, if
absolutely.
Dan likes it, it can't be horrible.
Yeah, no, and it's not. It's not horrible. It's not bad in any way, shape, or form. It's just for me on the James Gunn scale of stuff that I like. This is kind of not at the very bottom, but of the DCU stuff he's made, this is in third place for me. I like it. It just not as much as I like other things.
Is that one dude like a Ghost Rider character?
Dr. Phosphorus is, think more like Nuclear.
Oh, okay.
I said they're very interesting takes on characters that outside of I think Frankenstein really is the only one I knew about. I didn't know GI Robot, or I knew Rick Flag, but Junior. I didn't know there was a senior, honestly. But this is also, Marvel has their own team of monsters as well, and
Hmm.
they have a Frankenstein on theirs.
Yep.
So, like I said, if you're on the fence about watching it, I would totally tell people to watch it. Like, I would never say, "Hey, don't watch this." There might be somebody who gets a lot more enjoyment out of it than I did, and I still had a fun time with it.
So
Like, it's
is there a horror element to it, or is it more like a GI Joe type?
it's for me, it basically felt like Suicide Squad with monsters.
Oh, okay.
I'll give you the premise. It's not spoilers. They're basically, Waller's been like gotten in trouble for Task Force X or Suicide Squad. So instead of using people, she starts using monsters and metahumans. Awesome, Commander Beef. I appreciate you being here, boss.
See you, beef.
Um, so she starts using monsters, and they have a mission to go to this foreign country. Stuff happens there. They come back. We do get some glimpses of movie people, just glimpses. A lot of speculation with some things. So, like I said, it's not a bad watch by any means. It's just, for me, I think Peacemaker was better. But that could all change when, like, the second season comes around. Second season could come out, blow me away. You know, this is just something that I would tell people. If you're curious of checking this out, please do. Please, like, we need DC to hit some home runs here, and for a lot of people, this did. And I can't deny. Yeah, exactly. Nope. Stuff happens. I can't deny that obviously it's popular. You know, I'm not going to say, "Oh, well, I don't get why people like this," because I do, because it is good.
So going by the poster, is Frankenstein and the Bride the only two Universal monsters, or is Dracula and Wolfman and any of those
No,
stuff?
they're the only two, and it's a weird it's a strange story. It's definitely you'll have to watch their story, because Frankenstein's not exactly on the team. Like,
Okay.
it's a very strange story between the two of them.
Okay.
Like I said, you know,
Well, I'm going to
me
watch it while
personally,
I have that free preview, so I'll get
yeah.
a taste of it.
Like, for me, I gave it like a 7.5 out of 10. So definitely above mediocre for me. I thought it was good. So that, and then something I wish Castle would have been here for. So when they first said John Bernthal was going to be in the Daredevil Born Again show, I already assumed that they were going to be working on a Punisher show. But apparently they just said something the other day about, oh, by the way, they're in talks to do Punisher season, another Punisher for Disney Plus. Now, I hadn't seen Echo, but I've heard people say that Echo kind of shows you that they can do like how Netflix Daredevil was, and how Netflix Punisher was. And I got to thinking, I was like, they've done Deadpool and Wolverine. I think the door's kind of open now for the violence and stuff like that. Um, I'm really excited for this. I think John Bernthal is terrific as Frank Castle. I think he brings an intensity that is his own. Like it's Shane,
Mhm.
Shane from Walking Dead, but as a morally ambiguous good person. I don't want to call him a hero because he's not a hero, but he
But
brings a lot to this role.
yeah, that's what Shane was. So
True.
it was a perfect fit. I mean, you didn't have to stretch your imagination or anything. He was a good Punisher, and I watched the first one.
I've watched all the Punisher stuff. I don't have a this guy was terrible. No, I like Thomas Jane's. I liked Ray Stevenson's. I liked Dolph Lundgren's. You know,
People laugh,
even
but
though
Dolph is my favorite.
he-
I love
Dolph
that movie.
again, Dolph to me was like he was Punisher in the sense that he had the skulls on the top of his knives.
Hmm.
He did have the attitude. I just wish they could have, you know, they could have done. It felt like they were trying to do a Punisher movie without it being well.
Well, you got to remember it was like '86 or something.
Yeah,
They had how would you make a cool looking skull without making it look lame?
yeah, that's true.
So I was okay with it. I was, they took some liberties with the character, but for a story and everything, I thought it was really good. I still enjoy watching it once in a while. That's one of my guilty pleasures.
Oh yeah, dude. Like I'll still watch that if I see it pop up somewhere. Ooh, let me watch this. But yeah, um, if they go through with this and they do a Punisher season 3 on Disney, as long as they at least attempt to keep that same intensity, you know, um, Daredevil Netflix was still my favorite of the Netflix Marvel stuff. I love the Punisher show. Uh, Pretty much, I didn't dislike any of the Netflix Marvel stuff. I think Finn Jones kind of got a raw deal, mainly because I think they tried to fast track Iron Fist and didn't give him the training or at least get a decent uh, body double. So he was learning fight choreography before they shot the scenes. So second season of Iron Fist is definitely better than the first one in my opinion. I did like the first one though. Luke Cage, I never watched the last season of it, which I think was only 2 seasons. So I didn't watch that one. Jessica Jones, I'm missing the last season. Punisher, I think I got through partway through season 2, but Daredevil, I watched it all. Daredevil was fantastic. And the fact that they were able to get the folks from Daredevil, and Charlie Cox has been hinting that he's going to be in the movies and not just a Matt Murdock cameo. Pretty exciting. And I'm hoping this is what I wanted all along from Marvel. Marvel's always had that it's all connected, talking about their TV shows and stuff. Well, much as I liked Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., other than Sif and Nick Fury making cameos, it didn't feel as connected as they wanted it to be. The most connected outside of that it felt is when they did the uh, tie-in with Captain America: Winter Soldier, and you found out Hydra had infiltrated Shield and all that stuff. But I'm pulling for this, man. I want like with the success of Agatha all along and some of the other stuff they've been doing, I want some wins for Marvel too. Like I don't want this to be, the script is flipping, and now instead of people hating on DC and loving everything Marvel does, it's going to be now everybody hates Marvel and loves everything DC does. I want people to love everything that they're doing. I want there to be good stuff from both sides. I don't want it to get stale. But we'll see.
Competition usually results in better product.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
now that DC is finally turning out some good stuff, maybe Marvel's gonna step their game up a little bit.
True. And I'm really hoping like July. July is going to be a great month for comic book fans. I think. I also believe that this might like, and I hate being final about it, but I think this might be Marvel's last chance with Fantastic Four. You know, I enjoyed the Fox ones, or were they for the Fox? Yeah, they were Fox.
Yeah, yeah, I love
I
those.
enjoyed them. Yeah, and to an extent, when we talk about good bad movies, yes, I liked the Roger Corman one. That was just a we want to keep the characters. Let's make a movie real fast. Uh, wasn't a fan of the fan four stick one. You got to say that. That's one thing I wasn't a fan of it. But man, I want one to be. I want there to be one that's universally loved, and that's just because it feels like if something's universally loved movie wise, we'll end up getting more of it, and that's what I want to have. I don't want the Fantastic Four to go away. I don't want them to be like, oh well, we couldn't do nothing with this, so no more Fantastic Four. Let's do something else. Because Reed Richards and them are they're very important part of Marvel lore, and they've already been skipped out on a couple of things. Mainly, building Ragnarok for Civil War and being in the Phantom or being in they're not the Phantom Zone, the Negative Zone. Like there's a lot of stuff that's been missed out. So I'm hoping the movie does good. Just like I'm really hoping Superman does well. Which if it doesn't, I'll still watch it. Like, but I don't see that movie not doing well. The trailer, I know we've been fooled by trailers before, but that trailer just gets me. I'm still listening to the John Murphy theme. But speaking of season 3 of things,
That's
tell
my big look for right there, brother. I cannot wait. I love
tell us,
Reacher.
yeah, tell us what you thought of the first 2 seasons so far. You don't have to get into spoilers because I haven't watched it, but
Season
tell us some of your
one,
thoughts.
season one was fantastic. They established the character. Um, they give you just enough knowledge to get you along, and you kind of grow with Reacher, and you kind of gotta figure out what he's all about, and then the people he's meeting are all about. And then they mention special services that he was in prior, where he won a lot of medals of honor and whatnot. And then season two, they do some backflashes to when he was in that, and you get to meet a lot of the people that were in that special forces group with him. And it's so much fun. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but it's kind of hard to talk about it without spoiling it. But if you like um, James Bond type stuff, if you like, you know, but with a sense of humor and not a lot, but just enough subtle humor. And the chemistry between the actors is fantastic. Reacher's best friend is a lady called Neely, and the chemistry between them two is some of the best chemistry I've seen in a very long time between two actors in any show or movie. They just play so well together. And Neely has actually gotten so popular that she's getting a spin-off series. And Alan Ritchson said that Reacher will be in her spin-off series. And
Oh,
she's
wow.
also in the trailer for season 3. So she's going to be in season 3 and in her own spin-off. And then Reacher's going to appear in her spin-off. Oh, I can't wait. This this is my Superman. I've been waiting for this for so long for season 3. February 20th. We're getting there. I can't wait.
Yeah, I don't think they could have picked a better dude to play Reacher because having not read the books, right? I've talked to people who have, like Dan, and I was like, the only reason I knew Reacher was from Tom Cruise,
Hmm.
and I enjoyed. I haven't seen that the second one of that series, but I really enjoyed the movie, the first movie with him. Like I really dug it. Uh, but then we had Jack Ryan with John Krasinski on Prime. I loved that show. So the second I heard that they were doing a Reacher and I saw they had Alan Richson to play him, I was like, I'm in. So I've only made it partway through the first season because
Oh,
just got busy and just things fall off, and then it's like, oh, well, now there's this other thing to watch. But I am planning on eventually getting to it because I really want to see season 3 as well because what he did with the character in the first 15-20 minutes of the show was just he was just amazing. Like it's almost like a Bruce Wayne kind of humor to where
yep,
sometimes he's funny without trying to be funny.
yep. Like when he didn't even say a word to the guy that was yelling at his wife and pounding on the van. He just
Yes,
stared at him, and the guy went, "What do you want? What do you want, asshole?" And then Reacher just looked at him. He's like, "I'm having a bad day, sir. It'll never happen again."
exactly.
And if do you recall when he got into the diner and he ordered the peach pie, best pie in Georgia, and just as he was going to take a bite, the cops came in and arrested him.
Yep.
The ongoing joke for the entire first season is him trying to get a piece of that pie.
Yep.
And it's hilarious. And that's all I'll say about it because you said you've only seen parts of it. But
Yeah.
that pie is so integral into the backside humor of season one that it's fantastic.
It has great fight scenes. Like
And
the fight scenes are
this
great.
isn't a spoiler, but the main bad guy in season two, I'm horrible with names, is the guy that played the T-1000. What's his name?
Robert Patrick.
Yes. And one of the best parts of the series is Reacher and Neely check into a hotel room under an alias. And you're like, well, we got Reacher, sir. He's under name, blah, blah, blah. And this other one, I'm not sure who it is, but it's Sarah Connor. And he's talking to the T-1000 actor. And he's like, well, we got to find Reacher. And he's like, well, what about Sarah Connor? And he's like, I don't give a fuck who Sarah Connor is. No, it's just the best because they zoom right in on him, and you know it's on purpose. It's the greatest.
Yeah, really excited to get caught up so I can get to season 3. And this is actually going to bring us to our last little topic I had here. Um, things I would love to see turn into a graphic novel story wise. I want it to be Alan Richson's Reacher, and and we joke about it, but I'm being serious, and I'm pretty sure Ed can agree with me. Dan Wickline writing a Reacher graphic novel
Oh yes.
to me would just it would print money. It would
Yep.
print money. Like it's a fantastic idea. I wish if Dan wasn't so busy with his Obsidian universe that he's working on, I wish he could give some kind of pitch to whoever owns the rights to this. Some kind of pitch. Because I'm pretty sure Dan could do a fantastic Reacher graphic
Dan
novel.
did say that he'd love to do it.
Yeah.
It's just I have no idea how you'd make it happen. Like you said, I don't know who owns it and if they'd let him do a comic graphic novel out of it or not.
Yeah.
Because I think are they still making Reacher novels or is that done?
That I have no idea about.
I've avoided reading them because the seasons are following along the books, and I do know that there's going to be at least 5 seasons of Reacher, and then if the Neely thing kicks off, I don't know where they're going to go with that. But this is my addiction. I've watched season 1 and 2 at least a dozen times,
Good.
and I could watch it another dozen. And I've got my Amy just laughs because she's like, "You can act out the scenes." I'm like, "Yeah, pretty much." Well, how can you watch it when you know what's going to happen? I'm like, "Cause it's freaking awesome."
Yeah. 100%. But yeah,
Do you
this is
do you
one
think
thing
you
I
could do you
yep.
think you could get away with showing the trailer, or would that get you blocked?
Uh probably get a claim, but that's no big deal to me. Oh, just a second.
If people aren't familiar with it, I think the trailer would hook them because you get an idea of his sense of humor and his morals right in the trailer. On the arm wrestling scene is just priceless.
Let's see.
But don't go getting yourself blocked or anything. But they didn't give you any crap about the Superman one, did they? Or did they?
Nah, I just got a claim on that, and claims are nothing. It's no strikes. I mean, I'll tell you what. Hold on. Let me do something here. Let's see. Can I still? No, I can't. What if I make it big like this? Let me get back to the right freaking page here. Let me go back up to this one. Let's see. Screen share. Tell you what, we'll do it like this. And for just a minute, we'll take chat off. Well, here we go. Why not?
Awesome.
I've never been so jealous of a fork in my life.
You have any thoughts on dessert?
Mr. Reacher, we're looking into the owner of a rug import business called Bazaar Bazaar.
Let me guess. DEA thinks he's in business with bad people.
You know him?
I thought I killed him years ago.
What did he do to you?
He didn't do anything to me.
Maybe we can help each other out. I have a plan.
Undercover informant?
Mr. Reacher, your record is impressive.
Bench press proves nothing. Elbow on the pad. Rickard and I fought. Sorry, hand slipped.
Welcome to the team, Reacher.
I'm in.
Tonight's your chance to prove you've earned your keep, Reacher.
Exactly how much danger is this job putting me in?
Gotta get out of there.
How much time do I have?
I don't know. Who are you up against, Reacher?
Long story.
How often do you do this?
Every so often.
I figured out why you do what you do. Because you hate the big, the powerful, who think they can get away with things. So you make sure they don't.
You just figured that out? Son of a...
How do you not love that?
Let me unmute my mic. Oh, so the Dutch Giant is what that dude's name is known as on like Instagram and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually somebody that when I was casting live action Invincible, I was like, man, I'd love to see that dude as Battle Beast. Like, that dude is huge. Like, I thought the Mountain, the guy who played the Mountain, was a big dude until I saw him.
Yeah. Now keep in mind that Richson is a big boy too, and he makes him look tiny.
Yeah. No, that looks awesome. And I just realized, that's Neely, right?
The one he's talking to on the phone,
Yeah.
and the one he's like, "You just figured that out?" Yes, that's Neely.
Swamp Thing. That's where I knew her from.
Yes.
She looked so familiar throughout the whole trailer. I was like, where do I know her from?
Well, see, I actually yelled at you about that because when I finally watched Swamp Thing, I'm like, you didn't tell me Neely was in it, and you laughed and said, "Well, I didn't want to spoil it for you."
I it's been a while and I forgot.
Well,
So when I saw her, I was like, wait a second, where do I know her from? I was like, oh, that's right.
after Reacher, she's my favorite character. I love her snarkiness and her comments, and like I said, the chemistry between her and Reacher is just fantastic.
Yeah, like I said, the little bit that I've watched, Nope, the show, and you could take it from Eddie and take it from Dan. They both talk about how great the show is.
Nope, this is the most excited I think I've ever been about a series premiere coming out. I love this show. It's amazing.
So, like I said, graphic novel with Dan writing it. Now, I got two more, because I love this show. This was one of my favorite shows on Sci-Fi. It lasted 5 seasons, which is almost unheard of on Sci-Fi, on the Sci-Fi channel. But this Dynamite actually did some of these books. What I want them to do is bring them back. I want more Warehouse 13. If you've never watched Warehouse 13, it should be on Prime. Check out a couple episodes. It's fantastic. It is one of those agencies above agencies that people don't know about that collect artifacts. Like, one of them is like a staff that can control the weather, kind of like supernatural kind of stuff. Another one is like a mirror that's Alice's mirror, that when you look into it, there's a doppelganger on the other side that can come out. Like, uh, certain artifacts, like if you found a piece of wreckage from the Titanic, you can use that artifact to freeze people or make them drown. Like, it's and the two people in the front are the agents that. Yes, nope, that's who she is. Agents in the front were like Secret Service that get recruited into the Warehouse 13. Like, fantastic show. I Somebody out there, give it a shot if you never heard of it. But I would love to see these continuous graphic novels. I have read the stuff that Dynamite put out; it's really good. I just want them to bring it back. And the last one I have is a little bit of a cheat, because there's plenty of comics about this character out, but I want a comic of this specifically, and that's going to be Superman and Lois.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Kind of like how Smallville had Smallville season 11 for a little while. It was comics based off that show. I want a Superman and Lois comic, kind of, after they beat Luthor, or extending that part, something that effect. Because, like I've said before, this show was supposed to go 7 seasons.
Well, you can tell they rushed season 4.
Yeah, but again, I'm not gonna say that Gunn killed the show or anything like that. But the talk was that they didn't want competing Supermen. They were afraid it was going to be confusing for audiences, general audiences at least. So that's why they decided to wrap it up.
Yeah, I know, and I just don't buy that because the Batman is separate and it made millions, hundreds of millions. This was such a good show. In a lot of shows, later seasons get worse and worse, and you're like, this show needs to go off the air. It was just the opposite with this one. The seasons were just so good, and then this last one, not only did you only get 10 episodes, but they just rushed everything, and you can tell that this isn't the way it was supposed to be, because they get a little sloppy in their writing too. And I'm not going to talk too much about it because we're going to do a whole show on it, but
Yeah.
great series. And you would want it to be post Luther, but before the finale. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So you want Luther in it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
That would be awesome, especially with the conflict that would be going on in the prison.
Yep. And they can also do, stories that, we didn't see. Hey, Lorena, what's going on?
Hey, Lorena.
Uh, we can get stories that, we didn't see on screen. Any kind of like, because plenty of TV shows have episodes that get written and they end up getting either changed into something else or the episode's not used at all.
Mm-hmm.
So, things like that.
You know
But
what
this
else
is
I'd
just
like to see along the same lines? And it's a little cheesy, but like movie cards. I would love to have some collector cards of this series. Because,
Yeah.
they did them for like Star Trek and stuff. They could do a season 1, 2, 3, 4 and do the collector cards. I would love that.
Yeah.
For some reason, I've always loved those. And then on the back, it either tells you about the scene or some of them have you put a puzzle together if you collect the whole thing. Anything to extend it.
Yeah. Like 100%. So, yeah, that's all the topical things that I had to talk about, and the couple of questions that I had about, what would be a series, and it could have something like The Office. Okay, I love The Office. The Office actually had some comics. That doesn't mean that I wouldn't want more Office comics. Superman has 100 comics out there. Doesn't mean I wouldn't want a Superman and Lois specific comic. Just
I,
like kind of with the Snyder stuff. I actually wouldn't mind it if we got a continuation of that in comic form.
I've been blowing the bugle and screaming in the air horn for almost 20 years now for Star Trek Enterprise, the one that had Scott Bakula, for a comic or something to extend it, because that series got cut off way too soon too. And I don't know, so a lot of people didn't give it a shot or what happened, but it is my favorite rendition of Star Trek. And I never thought anything would beat TNG. But Star Trek Enterprise, and it's like the prequel series. I don't know if you're familiar with it, where
Yeah.
we first get the warp drive, and I've got the collector cards for those. And I've heard that some books were written, but I haven't been able to find them. But I would love to see a comic line for Enterprise to continue the story.
Oh yeah.
Because I know
Yeah,
other Star Trek have comics.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Comics, some of them have books. Yeah, that was one of those I never understood, like what happened with that show. Because
When it was live, no one was watching it because it went live right after 9/11. And I think a lot of people just didn't know about it because I think it was on CW or one of those that if you weren't watching it, it wasn't on a main network. But I don't remember if it was the U. What was the U one?
UPN.
Yeah, UPN might have been what, I don't know, but it was on one of those off networks. And from what I understand, the live watch levels were super low, but they were just starting to pick up when they decided to cancel it because it was slated for 7 seasons like most of the other Star Treks. But this one only got, in my opinion, 3.5, because the first 3 seasons there's 20 some episodes, and in the last season they only did 11 or 12. And it was just sad to see that end because that was I was vested in that. The three shows in my lifetime that I've obsessed about the most as an adult were House MD. I absolutely loved House MD.
Yeah.
Star Trek Enterprise, and now Reacher. And I would take those over any of them. A lot of people say The Walking Dead, but actually I prefer the comic. I liked the way the characters were portrayed in the comic over the show. Did I watch the show? I did until they did the stupidest thing in the world and killed Carl. Then I was done. Because in the comic, I don't know if you've read it, but everything Rick Grimes does is for Carl's future. And Carl ends up being the man. and to kill him off as a teenager, it just kind of poo-pooed over what was the point of everything Rick went through. He lost
True.
Carl. Everything Rick did was for Carl. So I watched up until I lost interest when they killed Carl, and I completely quit watching when they had Rick get flown off in a helicopter, and I was over it.
Yeah, I always thought that they were gonna end that show. It lives on through all the spinoffs, but I always thought
Yes.
Coral.
Coral.
I always thought would have been a great ending because Robert Kirkman lied to get that book even published. He told them that it was aliens,
Oh yeah.
right? Yeah. So my thought was we never see how the zombie apocalypse starts. I was like, how awesome would that be? Or maybe it would be a little too much. It was all a dream. If you finally had Rick surrounded by zombies and come to find out he's been immune the whole time.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like, how much more careless would you get if you knew you were immune?
Well, I don't know that you would get too much careless because whether you're immune or not, they're still going to eat you and kill you
True.
if you get caught. But if you remember, there was that one episode with the CDC where he said they were all infected.
Right.
So, and then the most poignant part of the whole series was when Rick sat him around in that barn just before the tornado came and said, "It's not the walkers. We're the walking dead. Because we're all going to die of this eventually. There's no preventing it." And that was like, bam, that was awesome. Because that's what a lot of people didn't understand, is that The Walking Dead wasn't referring to the zombies. It was referring to the people trying to survive because they're dead. They just don't know it yet. That was a brilliant scene. But they took some liberties with it. And with getting rid of Carl and Rick, I had no interest because Daryl, who wasn't even in the comic, sorry, he never clicked with me. I know a lot of people love Daryl, but to me, he just seemed like a putz, and I couldn't see him carrying a series. And I haven't watched any of the spinoffs because they drug the Negan thing out way too far too.
And nope, that's fair. Having an undead person bite you might not turn you to a zombie, but you might be losing a limb.
Mm-hmm. As they did.
Yeah. I don't know. It started getting with Walking Dead stuff. It started getting a little too hard for me to follow because Rick's dead here, but in this other show, he's still alive.
Well, see, he never died. At the end of the episode, it showed them flying him away in a helicopter on the TV show. Now, in the comic, he died without a doubt, and Carl took over and was the leader of the New World, and that's how he finished it. And Robert Kirkman's a dick for that too, because he released 4 mock covers for the next 4 months of issues, and then out of the blue dropped a triple size edition, which was the end of The Walking Dead. I'm like, you son of a! I already had pre-ordered the the next 4 months worth, but he didn't want everybody knowing this was the last one and overbuying the issue. And you can still get it for like $2, so it didn't become the big blockbuster. But that was one of those things I got lucky with. I happened to have a comic book store right across from where I worked, and I used to go there on my lunch hour, and I actually picked up the first Walking Dead off the shelf and fell in love with it. So I've actually got the whole run, but I can't read them now because they're black and white. But so I've been trying to, when they're on sale, trying to get some of those deluxe ones where they colored them. I don't know if they're going to do a deluxe omnibus, but if they did, I'd probably get it just so I could reread them, because the comic story to me is just brilliant. Did you read them?
I've read and have, I think, the first 2 or 3 trades.
Oh, okay. So you know how a lot of the characters are way different.
Yeah.
Because in the comic, Andrea is a beast, and in the show, she is the most annoying broad that you were so happy to watch get killed. I'm like, they really did her character wrong. Hey, Sean. Who's Sean?
Hey, man. Who's Sean?
Who's Sean? Hashtag who's Sean?
Hopefully, we'll see him next week. Hopefully, we'll see him next week to do that Superman and Lois show. I'm thinking he said he's going to be off next Saturday. But also, now that Lorena's here, because I know Lorena's a big Superman fan as well, I wanted to ask her. I think she actually told me about there being a book 2 for this. I can't remember, somebody said that there's a book 2, but Lorena, have you read this? I'm curious because I really, really dug this, and I was looking for somebody else who's read it. It's a little, not very Superman heavy, but the next 2 things I have on this list are Superman books I did for a short today. Take care, Sean. I'd tell you not to work too hard, but I remember where you work. So we had that one. Then curious to know if she's ever seen or read this one. And then my third one was one that just really caught me by surprise, blew me away. It's coming out in 2025 June. It's coming out in June. And then there's this one. This one was a surprise. I love the art, love the story. Like I said, I've only read the first volume of it. There was two or three volumes up. This was fantastic. Like I said in my video, who wouldn't want to see Superman beating down superpowered Nazis and smashing Klan members? Like, this book was fantastic. You know, there's eventually going to come point, Lorena, where I'm going to send you the link because I would love to have you on here and talk about Superman. So if there's ever a time you want to do that, you let me know. You don't have to have your camera on or anything like that. Just want to get you on here and talk. If you feel like talking about it, would love to have you on. Oh, Lorena, it's so good. It's so good. Like, the art style is like a very manga-like style. Let's see if I have that picture. I'm going to flip it back over here. Let me find that picture real fast. It's this style right here. And just it's set in the 40s. Superman still has the normal powers he usually has. I don't know if he gets any more in the other issues or he hadn't used them yet. I'm just going off what I read. He can't fly. He does the running on telephone wires. And there's literally a shot, and I'm going to see if I have that picture, where he's got. Oh, first of all, let me show off this one because I love this shot right here. Like, oh, love that. I had a picture, I thought. Here it is. Here we go. Like, the 2 kids tucked under his arms, and he's running down the street, I think, in this one. Then he's on some telephone wires for the rest of it.
That bottom panel is so right out of Action Comics. That's gorgeous.
I'm pretty sure that's where they took that from.
I think that it looks like it's right out of it. Yeah, it wouldn't
And they
surprise me.
yeah, they were doing the comparison of the scenes because that's immediately my brain went to that. I was like, wasn't there a shot where he has two kids under his arm?
I'm almost
And
positive. I think so.
yeah, Lorena, do yourself a favor. You get a chance, or anybody else that is interested in checking it out. Uh, Read All Comics, or I can't remember the exact name of the site.
Just a word of caution if you're going to use sites like that.
Pop
Make
ups.
sure that you have pop-up blockers. Make sure you have malware detection
Yep.
because you're going to get a lot of things you don't want if you start exploring those kind of sites. Because
Yes.
those are like dark web sites, and you can get your identity stolen. You can get your machine hacked. You can get porn that you don't want popping up all over. Be careful if you do things like that.
Yeah. I mean, this site that I've been reading it for years, and knock on wood, nothing's really come of it.
Well, if
But
you
I
got
would
yourself protected, you'll
yeah.
be okay. Hey,
Hey,
Bearded
what's up,
here.
Beard? That's another guy I would love to have on the show eventually.
Of
Like
course, you're
tonight's
not
gonna
wearing
be.
the shirt.
Of course, that's exactly right. You know, you want to know something, Bearded man? So last week I wore the Bearded Comic Bro shirt, right? Robbie shows up in the chat and he's like, "Hey, toss me a link and I'll join for a few minutes." 4 hours later, he ended up joining us and he was here for the rest of the show, like 4 hours. And I was like, every time I wear a bearded shirt, he's never here. But I'm picking on you though, brother. I appreciate you when you can't show up. I know you're busy. But just let you know, I do rock that shirt. I do rock your shirt. There you go. And if you have the app, get it off the app. I'm not saying never pay for books. Awesome. We'll come up with a time because next week we got a Superman and Lois show we're doing. The week after that's my anniversary, so there won't be a show. But I would love to have you come on, man. That's like that would be my two folks, my two dream folks right there, Robbie and Bearded. Because again, and I'll always say this, those are the two folks that we drew inspiration from when we made this channel. Like, so it's awesome to be able to talk to them. And I lost Ed for a second. It's okay. It usually happens around this time. There he goes. Bring him back in, but he's lost his picture.
I thought maybe rejoining would bring it back. Not that it matters.
Yeah.
Can you still hear me okay?
Oh yeah.
I don't know why it does that. My whole screen, my entire television goes black. And then when it comes back, I'm like this. So I don't know why it's doing that. But at least it made it almost 3 hours this time.
Yeah. It's very good. Yeah, buddy, I know. Absolutely. If I was doing a little bit longer of a show tonight, I would definitely have you on. I'm gonna get close actually to wrapping this up because Jenna is actually cooking.
Pork chops.
Pork chops. So, like I said, I had a couple of things to talk about. We ran through them. Everybody, feel free to watch on the rewind. I'd appreciate it. Skip around. Man, this was just a really good. It was a really good week for comics, in my viewpoint. Like the all the stuff that I read this week, like 6 in total on the show. I did read a little more than that, but the Those Not Afraid, Where Monsters Lie Cul-de-sac #3, Living Hell #1. I do have #2. Yeah, and I said at the beginning of the show, man, our thoughts for y'all out there, man. Like I'm very happy that you're okay, Lorena. You know, other folks unfortunately weren't as lucky. You know, I think Mr. Easy Go Lucky, who is part of the EXP folks, like many of you here, had to evacuate his home. Uh, writer David Boer lost his home. Writer of Canto, it just right before he was going to be having surgery too.
Oh, and can you just imagine all the original art and stuff that might have got lost?
Yeah,
Script.
absolutely bearded. It'll be a couple weeks, but trust me, I want to get you on and Fable and Stu and just anybody else. One of these days, I'll get Lorena and maybe Randy on. But yeah, it's a terrible thing, and you know, I know having your life is definitely worth more than things. I get that, but for the people that lose the things, it's still I know that's got to be painful. It's got to be painful. So
It is. I had a flood in the basement. I didn't lose the house, but I lost a lot of things I can't get back from my childhood.
yeah,
And
man,
those are the rough. That's the rough ones. Thank God my comics are upstairs, even though my wife doesn't like that. But
yeah. Well, folks, like I said, I know. It only a 2.5 hour show tonight. Yeah, like I said, I had some things to talk about, and with Jenna making dinner, I don't want to make her eat alone, So, um, thank you to everybody who shows up, not only consistently, but the ones that just pop in the first time being here. We really appreciate that. Um, Thank you for all the recommendations. I do write them down. I should do the adult thing and put like, you know, a spreadsheet or something, but I haven't done that quite yet. Comics, it's history. Then you gotta do a part to buy more comics. Yeah. Yes. Mm. That's the whole thing that we try to do here is make sure that we push comics. Like there are days that we don't talk about comics that often. It's just a hangout, and we just talk randomly about life and stuff. But the goal is to share our love of comics and maybe introduce people to something they might not have heard of. And like tonight, I got so many awesome suggestions about stuff to read that you know my my read pile is never going to be low. Uh, my red pile, on the other hand, is a different story. But my to read pile is always going to be full. So let me get to thingy here. Ooh, you know what I forgot to do? There we go. So each one of these little slide things, you have to manually add in things like chat. Sometimes I forget that. But like I said, short show. Appreciate you all being here. Should have a show next week. Hopefully, I'll have a thumbnail and stuff made. I'm hoping, because next week is going to be Sean, Ed, and myself talking about Superman and Lois. And I'm so glad that I got people to watch that show.
now,
I'm
are
so
we gonna
happy.
do like in-depth spoiler stuff, or are we just gonna bounce around the bush?
We can bounce around the bush at first, and then if we want to get into spoilery stuff, we just tell people you don't want to be spoiled. You might want to tune out.
The conversation will be so much more interesting if we can just talk about everything. But I get it.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, we'll see.
since I didn't get to do it at the beginning of the show, I got to
Mhm.
do it before you leave. Hell,
Mhm.
Hydra!
Oh God,
There you
yes. Let me tell you, I'm gonna say this. The best part about that is we've never asked anybody to do that. We've never had anything that said "Hail Hydra" anywhere, and the fact that you and other folks do that is awesome because it's organic. It's nothing like nobody got asked to do this. Folks just started doing it, and I love it. Marvel might not love it if they, because they probably watch our videos on Rewind as well.
yeah.
But I love that, man. I love it. Thank you, Lorena. Hey, you take care. You might still be doing okay, but still, take care. Be careful.
Yes, be safe.
But so I am going to eventually. I'll learn how to end this without messing up anything else. But I'm gonna drop Ed out first. So Ed, I'll see you on the other side.
Good night, folks.
And you do the same. Everyone, thank you so much for being here. This is one of my favorite times of the week. I love, getting on here and talking with everybody. Uh, I'm super socially anxiety, but doing stuff like this, I don't feel the anxiety. So, and y'all help a great deal with that. I appreciate it. Um, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Thank you so much for being here. If you're watching on the rewind, let me know what you thought. Always appreciate the comments, good or bad. Everyone, you take care, and I'll catch you next time. Later.